One of the most impactful things you could hear during spring football, I believe, is you go check out Inside Texas, the Texas on 3 site, and the murmurs are, hey, don't look now, but Arch Manning, he's every bit as advertised. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if that's the case? First of all, if that's the case, rest in peace to all the Twitter scouts, all the Twitter quarterback evaluators that were telling us that Arch Manning was only good because of his last name. That's why he got to Texas. That was never the case, but I mean, rest in peace to y'all and flowers to your loved ones. Do we understand how crazy this would be if this was said? Because the Arch Manning hype is irresponsibly off the rails. Like, I would actually push back and say if we hear that Arch Manning is as advertised out of spring football, I don't even know if that's possible because we're being told he should win the Heisman Trophy and he should be the number 1 draft pick next year and all those things. And if that's the word out of spring football, I don't know if I'd believe you necessarily. But if even a version of that is true, Texas is a national championship kind of team. They are. And that's not me saying that, they're just going to be in the mix. They're going to be in the mix. I think they have the second best odds as of right now to go win the whole darn thing. But if the Arch box is checked with green Sharpie and you're not even worried about that, I don't know how you're beating Texas. The defense is one thing. I feel great about the defense. But let's walk this through a little bit more. Think about what Texas loses in that receiver room from a season ago. Top 3 guys, right? Well, if Arch is as advertised, and he's advertised as being one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and he meets that criteria in the spring, that means your receiver room gets ratcheted up a few notches. What does that mean for a Ryan Wingo in the year he's about to have? Or a DeAndre Moore? Because here's the thing, great quarterbacks have a lot of unique traits to them, and there's different things that make different ones great, but one common denominator, all of them make the talent around them better. This is not an NFL show, but I just think it's the most obvious example. Pat Mahomes, dude, he's running around out there with me at receiver and still find a way to make it to the Super Bowl. I understand they upgraded a year ago and got Xavier Worthy. I hear all that, but the point stands. Great quarterbacks elevate their receiver talent. And Texas has great receiver talent. It's just a little bit more unproven than it has been in the past and what you're used to. Not saying they won't go to the portal this upcoming spring and go get a more proven guy, but that's sort of the point now. Ryan Wingo elevating even more. DeAndre Moore elevating, pun intended, I guess, even more. That makes Texas scary because then the offense becomes real deal versatile. We've said a lot on this show. I think Texas is going to be a run-first kind of football team. Kind of what they were last year. Comes out Quinn Ewers, Torres Oblique, and all that. But Texas is arguably their best players were in that running back room. Trey Wiser had a 1,000-yard rushing season a year ago. That the offensive line, you had to let them go north and south. And with what you were limited at with quarterback, Quinn Ewers not being able to push it downfield, they became a very run-centric team the second half of the year, really, I guess, since Quinn Ewers was out of the lineup. But if Arch Manning is who they're telling us he could be, the receiver room is nasty, the running back room is nasty. I just said it. You're at that point, real deal multiple. And that's what it's going to take now to win at the highest level in college football. We're at 12 teams right now. It'll go to 14, 16, however many until we stop it. But when that's the reality and you have to win that many games in a row, you have to be able to fight different styles. It might be a street fight in round 1 with Penn State if you're Texas, and the next week you might have to go score for score with a team like Oregon or a team like Ole Miss or whoever. If you can play both those styles, if you're Texas, because of Arch Manning, that's the differentiating factor. That's where things get really scary, and that's where this really gets off the rails a little bit because the hype is ridiculous. So if you're hearing that he's as advertised with all of that hype, I mean, God bless the rest of college football because with how talented that roster is and who they have coaching the thing is Steve Sarkisian, it sounds hyperbolic, but I would just head on a swivel because Texas is going to be a force regardless. But if Arch is that dude, everyone hang on tight. It's going to get very, very scary quick, fast, and in a hurry.